Listen, I'm an expensive girl and I've really never been ashamed of that, but when we get to the point where even I can't afford me, maybe we've lost the plot a bit. All right, well, when the wine comes out, it is time for us to get real and have a chat. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Bougie Black Girls YouTube channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Dana, and today we are going to be talking about lifestyle creep. And this is a term that I've been hearing for the past, I would say like 2 to 3 years, but I think last year and definitely as we move into 2025 is when I really started trying to think about how it shows up in my life. It's never really fun to have to sit back and take accountability to maybe where you've missed the mark, how maybe access to more finances, more resources has went left for you. But I think this is the time to do it if you are somebody who's thinking about that. So today we're going to be talking about what it is, how I've seen it show up in my life, and maybe some recommendations for how you can spot it in your life and start to make some adjustments. So if that sounds good to you, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any updates. That's really helpful as I continue to try and grow this channel in 2025. Grab a glass of wine if this is going to be a tough conversation for you, and let's just go ahead and get started. Okay, so to kick us off, I want to actually define what lifestyle creep is. If you clicked on this video, you have probably come across the term once or twice, but let's talk about what it actually looks like in our real lives. So picture this, you are in your mid to late 20s, maybe all the way up to your mid to late 30s or 40s, just depending on how life has progressed for you. And you feel like you are finally doing the things, okay? You have gotten the degrees and the certifications. You are starting to move up in your career. And with climbing up that ladder, you're starting to get a little bit more access to money and things are feeling good. And so, of course, with that growth, you feel like a growth in your life and the way things around you are moving and flowing is natural. And so with this newfound access to more resources, more money, you decide that you want to upgrade some areas of your life where you're already spending money. So your $30 weekly target run becomes a $60, $70 weekly target run. You decide that you want to upgrade from your 1-bedroom apartment to your 2-bedroom apartment. Your, monthly, bi-monthly sew-in where you get 16 inches, you actually want to upgrade that and drop it down to 2024. You want to upgrade your sedan to an SUV. Completely normal, realistic things that I think a lot of people would want to and probably have upgraded over the course of time. However, all of those little things do start to add up over time. And when you combine that with the rising cost of things that you didn't even plan to spend more money on, like groceries, healthcare, bills, your bank account starts to look exactly the same and sometimes even worse than before you got this promotion and you got this access to more money. And that is what lifestyle creep has looked like for me. And I know that's what lifestyle creep has looked like for a lot of my friends and just people, in this phase of life. And it's a really sucky feeling because a lot of us who have worked really hard throughout our lives, we've put in the work, we've put in the hours, we're starting to see some of the returns on our investments, and we want to be able to enjoy the fruits of our labor. But the circumstances of our society and our economy is not allowing for us to have as much excess as maybe we hoped for. I think another really unexpected and really crappy way that lifestyle creep tends to show up is also through us spending money on things that we technically do need to spend on, but maybe we didn't have the financial resources to do so in the past. And so if you're somebody who is not getting, biannual car maintenance and you have an increase in your salary, you allocate money to do that. But as a result, you don't have the excess that you were maybe hoping for or anticipating for to save or spend on yourself. Same thing with proper medical care. If you step into a job that allows you to, visit the doctor more regularly and get the care that you were seeking, with co-pays and the cost of medications and specialists and all these other things, yes, you're making more money, but you're still spending more money. And so again, that excess and that cushion that you were anticipating having with the growth in your career just isn't coming in the way that you thought it was. And so for me, lifestyle creep has manifested in, I think, both of those ways. I definitely spent money on things that make sense, like moving to an area of town that I feel safer in as a young woman, my healthcare, my car, things that I technically need. But I do think it manifested in some unhealthy ways and in some areas that I can take a little bit more accountability for moving forward. And so just a couple of examples that I feel are very relevant to me and women like me is like the big boom that Black owned luxury handbags had a couple years ago. Not saying that I was the person who had to have every single Telfar bag or every single Brandon Blackwood bag in every color, but maybe I invested in one too many a bit too soon. I think the same thing happened with like makeup talk and fragrance talk and skincare. Like, did I really need to be spending money in these more expensive products, or did I need to find something at my price point that was going to work for me? I think the same thing can be said about a lot of the conversations we have on personal style. And so this pressure to create this unique and distinct wardrobe, I think that's great and it's important. But regardless of whether you're shopping at thrift stores or you're shopping at these high-end luxury brands, there's a price tag associated with that, especially when you're trying to do it so quickly. And so I wonder what it would look like for us to maybe talk about going through that process of discovery over like a 2 to 3 year period, as opposed to like a couple of months. Another one that I think is so pervasive and is just not talked about as much is travel and this pressure to be perceived as so global and so worldly. I think a lot of people are feeling the pressure to, sort of present this mystique of like catch flights, not feelings, and taking multiple international trips a year and racking up debt in the process, because a lot of these, whether they're travel influencers or just people who seem to always be on a flight, they're racking up a significant amount of credit card debt. And so I just wonder what it would look like if a lot of us could maybe internalize that, if we could talk a bit more candidly about that and start encouraging people to take an affordable, accessible international trip, maybe once a year, every other year. And then also starting encouraging more local travel in your area, a road trip, a trip out of state, things of that nature. So yeah, at a very foundational level, that is what lifestyle creep sort of is to me. That's how it looks and kind of manifests in my life. Now to dig into some of the ways in which I'm planning to tackle it in 2025 and beyond. And I want to start this with a caveat that I'm not planning to be like a finance YouTuber. I will probably post a very few videos about finances on the internet, but I kind of want to have this conversation like regular person to regular person. Okay, so the first way I am starting to address those problems is to crack open a bottle of wine and every other month look at my bank statements to see where I am spending a little bit too much and where I can cut back. I think for a lot of people, some obvious areas are like carry out. That's something that I think a lot of folks know. If I'm getting dinner or coffee or whatever, 5 days a week, if I could cut that back to 1, I could save a little bit of money. But another little sneaky area that I am finding is my subscription services. And it's not that I have a ton of subscription services. It's kind of just simply the fact that I have a lot of repeats, and I realize that I don't need to pay for every subscription service I have every single month. So for example, if I am watching something on Netflix and I know, okay, this show is gonna have me in a chokehold for the next 3 months, do I need to be paying for Hulu for these 3 months as well? Same thing with like different editing softwares or music subscription softwares. If I know that I'm not going to be utilizing it as much this month, why not just cut it off and reactivate it when I'm ready to re-engage with that service? So that takes a little bit more self-awareness and definitely a level of planning, but it's something that I am trying to adopt a bit more going into 2025. So with my statement analysis, I tend to sit down and do a budget for like once a quarter, so maybe about 4 times a year. And in that process, when you're setting a budget and having to be a little bit more strict with yourself, I think a lot of us tend to be very mean to ourselves. And I've tried to just really adopt this policy of giving myself permission to forgive myself, because while I do want to sort of take accountability and acknowledge places where I could do better, the money is already spent. And so bullying yourself about why you have the debt or like why you have certain problems is not going to solve them. So I really do also try to consciously, acknowledge the issues and where I played a factor in the issues as well, but also give myself permission to just move on and move forward. In addition to setting your budget, I think it's also super important to acknowledge the parts of your life and your lifestyle where you're not willing to compromise. And I think as you reach certain heights in your life and your career, it's okay to set those kind of boundaries too. Because as somebody who can acknowledge that they have fallen prey to some lifestyle creep, but also runs an online presence under the moniker, the Bougie Black Girls, there are just certain things I'm not willing to compromise on. Sorry. One big one that I get a lot of flack for is like my living arrangements. I am not in a position where I want to have roommates anymore. I would like to live in a certain style of apartment and a certain level of comfort. And so people are always like, well, you could save X amount of money if you just move in a shack and get 3 roommates with 8 cats and da 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 da. I'm not doing that, okay? It's not happening. So when it comes to this rent, the price is the price, and we're gonna have to find ways to, make up the difference elsewhere. And it is what it is. And with that comes the truth that also in a lot of circumstances, you simply just need to make more money, because depending on your income level and where you live, you're not going to be able to budget yourself out of certain situations until you have more access to resources. Again, another situation where I feel like the truth is the truth. Now, I know the job market is absolute garbage right now. If you're somebody who's on the hunt for a more lucrative full-time gig, my only advice is just to, keep your foot on the gas and keep trying. But in the meantime, or if you're somebody who is enjoying your full-time gig, there are other ways to supplement your income. And sometimes you have to swallow your pride and be okay with doing what you need to do to get yourself to a comfort level that you would like to be at, even if it's not forever. And so can you humble yourself enough to do Uber Eats, to do DoorDash, to do Instacart? If you are somebody with an advanced degree, you may need to think about teaching adjunct at a community college a couple days a week, maybe even get a part-time retail job, go back to serving, go back to bartending, even if it's only for a couple of months. What does it like to do that for a little while and just give yourself a little bit of a cushion and a nest egg to step into this new season of your life and be better. Same thing with the holiday season that just passed or the summer that's coming up. A lot of people are looking for extra hands and extra help. And it's really smart to get in on the good, do a 4-month stint and pocket that cash. I've done it. And if I ever need to do it again, I will. And then really quickly, just a couple other things that I have done and will do in the future if I ever need to sort of reset and get my arms around my lifestyle creep ever again. Sell things around the house that you don't need. So if you're somebody who has fallen into the excess of, consumerism, you've bought one too many bags, one too many shoes, one too many books for the book talk girlies. I'm looking at you because books are not cheap, those kind of things. What can you do to sort of sell it? Use online platforms like Poshmark and Mercari. Go to your local pawn shop or like a secondhand, like consignment shop, etc. Start to get rid of some of those things. And even if it's just for a moment, bringing in that revenue can really set you up to just, again, hit the reset button. You can also look at making a plan within the next 6 months to a year to eliminate at least one big ticket bill that you have. And so for a lot of people, that could be your car note, or it could be like your largest credit card bill. For me, last year, I just really buckled down and took every little scrip and scrap of extra money I had and threw it at my car note. And while it certainly doesn't, solve all the world's problems, freeing up an extra $200 to $300 can really change the game for you. So I am very glad that at least that is not, touch wood, an expense that I have to worry about right now. And I would encourage anybody else who has the opportunity to sort of make a plan to do the same thing. Another great thing to do is hit the reset button on some of your existing bills. And so for a lot of folks, that can be your car note, your car insurance, your utilities, your internet, your cell phone, etc. Go ahead and dial up those folks on the phone and just see if there's any way for you to lower that expense each month. Does it mean you have to maybe shift to a new car insurance company? Can you talk to your utility company about, why is my electric bill so high? Why is my utility bill so high? Are there things that I can do to reduce those costs? And, whatever you need to do to make that happen, $30 here, $50 here, all of that adds up over the course of time to, again, make things a little bit more digestible, which is always the goal. And then last but certainly not least is just making a plan to tackle any debt that you have. Debt is not fun. I am not a debt specialist, so I'm not going to give too much advice in that area, but I will say that the snowball debt method has really worked for me over the past couple of years, and I am continuing on with that process. And so even if it's not the best or the fastest sort of like debt consolidation plan, having an approach and a method to sifting through it all can really sort of just ease some of the anxiety, let you sleep better at night, all that good stuff. So I definitely recommend looking into that. So I really hope that this video resonated with some folks. Cheers to you if you made it to the end, because having conversations about finances and how challenging they can be is really never fun. But if you have made it to the end of this video, I would love for you to drop a comment down below and maybe share 1 or 2 areas where you have fallen into lifestyle creep. I think it'd be really great for us to just chit chat with one another and, put each other on, stay woke to the things that are causing our bills to sort of uptick, so we can do better and be better all throughout 2025. Please, please, please be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It is super duper helpful in these early stages of growth for the channel. Be sure to follow me on socials and check out the Black Girl Roundtable podcast if you are interested, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.